ISB listeners, welcome to another episode. This is Your Soul Purpose. I'm Dr. John Filo. Today we are talking about dream states, and I've got a prominent author on the show with me today. Sergio Magana joins me to speak a little bit about this ancient tradition, this Toltec and Nahua lineage tradition of dream work, what was referred to as Nahualism. And it's a powerful form of work that allows one to plant the seed, if you will, in the dream state to allow the physical reality to manifest according to your intent. So it's about looking at dreams from a very different perspective, not something that we can't control or we have no sort of control over, but to understand that there is this other state that can give us a little bit more freedom to design and plant our intent so that the reality state can manifest in, let's say, in alignment with our own desires as well, and to overcome certain fears as well. So dream state holds this immense power, if you will. Sergio Magana is the author of Caves of Power. He is an eminent Mexican healer, and I'm excited to have him on the show. Sergio, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, and thank you very much for this invitation. It's an honor to be with you today.
Yes, absolutely, for me as well, Sergio. And before we get into the dream work and the Nahualism, tell our listeners, if you can, a little bit about your background and how you started into this specific work.
Yeah, of course. I am Mexican, of course. I was born in Mexico City in a Catholic family, actually. The difference was that my mother worked, so I was really raised by like a second mother that she was the healer of the daughter of the healer of a Otomi community, an indigenous group.
Oh, wow.
So since I was like a child, she raised me like... and I remember that when I had to use to have like kind of scary dreams, she used to cleanse me with an egg, and then.
Did you say with an egg, Sergio?
Yeah, and an egg. Yeah. And then
how was that? How did she do that? How was that? I'm curious.
That's a very common practice between the curanderas, the women, the healers, mainly women in Latin America, that you go with the energy of the egg around the energetic body, actually, and you are like doing like circles and like crosses. And then at the end, when you finish doing that, you break the egg in a glass of water, and then you read what is in the glass of the shapes that the egg. For example, it's quite interesting, because how is your health issue depends of how the yolk of the egg stays. If it breaks and that, you have health issues and that, and then the egg white begins like doing other shapes. But actually, what she told me in that time that I never forgot, she was telling me, this egg is a dream that never became, because the dream of this egg was to become a chicken, and that will never happen. So I will use this egg so that your bad dreams never come to life.
I see. That's interesting. That symbolism of using the egg as a way of stopping or blocking something that's going to manifest.
And that's when I learned that dreams manifest. It's the first time that I heard it. Of course, now, in that time, I didn't see like the poetry. Now I see that it's a lot of poetry.
That's right. It's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, that a dream that never became, and now so that yours never come to life. But then I became a teenager, a normal one. I wanted to be an actor and that. But then I began in my spiritual work. I found one of my teachers, Hugo Nawi, that he actually he found me, but that's like a kind of other story. And then he was the first one that after the nanny told me, everything that you are going to experience is first dreamt. So begin checking your dreams, begin planting dreams to begin creating, to start creating your reality. And then he introduced to me my main dreaming teacher, Xolotl, and he told me once something that many years ago that I still remember, that is a Teotihuacan phrase, that he said that the Teotihuacans, that is a culture of Mexico, the one that built the huge pyramids of the sun and of the moon.
I see.
They said, the one that doesn't remember his or her dreams is like a living death, because has no control of their waking state. In that time, I belonged to the group of the living dead, so it was like quite strong.
Yes.
And I
Aren't we all in the Western sort of?
yeah. Yeah, and you get a little bit like offended, and I actually told him, but it's also very important how you think, what you eat.
Yeah.
I
mean, that idea, Sergio, of not knowing the importance or significance of our dreams has been lost in our sort of civilization, especially the Western civilization. You see it as more part of the indigenous sort of civilizations. You see it obviously in Mexico, whether it be the Mayans, the Toltecs, the Aztecs. But that part in our recent history has been lost. And it's an important aspect. It's really one half of the equation, isn't it?
I think it's really important. And also it's 1/3 of our life. If we think we are sleeping and that,
Yes.
and actually what he answered me is that everything, that how you feel, what you eat, what you do, depends of what you dream. In that moment, I wasn't sure, but then when I began really like becoming disciplined in the art of dreaming and seeing what I dreamt according to the codexes, and seeing how it was manifested, how people that I was going to meet appeared in the dreams before and that, then I began getting totally convinced. And then once he told me, that's why in all the languages of the world, any you want to choose, it's hidden, the ancient truth, because we say, the girl of my dreams, the house of my dreams,
Yes.
my worst nightmare.
Yes.
So it's hidden that first you had to dream it, and then it will happen.
Yes.
Not in the other way.
Yeah. Subliminally, we say it, yet we don't truly understand, what it means to us, the significance of it. How would you define, what is the dream state? How would you define it?
For the ancient tradition, that actually, I know that one of my books is called The Toltec Secret, and that, but actually is the lineage is called Nahua. That is all the cultures that spoke Nahuatl, that are from Olmecs, Teotihuacans, Toltecs is one of them, Aztecs, Xochicalcas, many of them. There was like a cosmology that there were like 13 heavens. So 13 heavens are like 13 dimensions that the first energy, that is called Centeotl, the first energy, took to become matter. So dreaming,
from all that is to what we see today in our physical life.
Yeah,
Okay.
that this would be like the 14th step,
Yes.
like the matter.
Right.
And there were like 13 the dimensions that were named like 13 heavens.
I see.
And dreaming happens in the 7th heaven. So actually is an energetic reality that happens just in the middle between the first energy, that would be like the equivalent of God, if we want to say it like that, and matter. That's why it's much easier to create changes from half of the way than from this reality, and actually that is an energetic reality that happens before.
So the way I understand it's like a template reality or template dimension where we can project what we want in this physical. I think the physical is referred to as what? The tonal? Is it the tonal?
Tonal, yeah. The tradition is like split in two main words. Tonal means who you are with the sun. So it's who you are awake, actually. Who we are in our mind. And actually it's very interesting that Nahual, the word Nahual, comes from the Nahuatl word Newa, that means eye. that is the energetic body that you use for dreaming, and the energetic body that in which we will become death when we leave this physical body. So actually, the ancient ones were calling I to the other one, not to this one. This one,
I as in myself, not I as in the I, but
no.
I
I
as
like the
the
I,
real me,
you,
the real
me,
me. Yes,
the real me.
yes, yes.
To that one, to the energetic body
Yeah.
that you are dreaming, and not to the physical body. So the importance was much more. And actually, many people now have, like you said, has lost this connection. And we say it's only a dream, and that we don't know that in the way that we dream is inherent, that we are repeating ancestral pattern with our new archetypes again and again and again. And that's why the families repeat each other. And if you never give a look to that, if you never face that or begin having like a different intent, you will keep repeating yourself, or it will be like quite difficult to make huge changes.
And to get into that dream state, Sergio, I mean, we're not dealing so much with words. It's a different form of a communication, isn't it? It's more symbolism, it's more metaphors, it's more archetypes. It's a different form of communication in that reality, isn't it?
It's completely based in archetypes, in the elements, in water, in what you see, in directions. If something is flying or going up in a dream, it's going to the heavens. If it's going down to the underworlds, that will create suffering. So it's much more symbolic to know. Like actually, it was the way that it's interpreted is like looking from, for example, dying, death in dreams is very good, because it means changes, that you are going to change in something. And many times people wake up when they die and they thought that they were having a nightmare. But actually, that's why you wake up, because your Nawal or unconscious you wants you to remember that you are going to have this huge change. But people get scared. Also, like measure, if things become bigger of what they are in the tonal, in this reality, they mean that they are going to grow in your life. If they become smaller, they are going to shrink. But normally people don't see proportions in the dreams, because we are worried in the story.
Yes.
And that's not so important.
Yes, yes. I mean, we give it the literal meaning of what we see. We don't understand the symbology of it. Do you think, this question's coming up for me right now, do you think that the dream state in some way is there to expose some of our internal fears as well? For example, if you're afraid of something within you, within your consciousness, that you need to grow from, can it appear in the dream state?
Yeah. I think dreaming is for many things. One is to create your reality, and it will be showing what you are creating, but also dreams will be showing you what you have to deal with. So, for example, if you are really angry, you will have a lot of violent dreams to show you the anger that you haven't processed. If you have a lot of fears, then you will have these very scary dreams of what you don't want to face. And in that way, so it will also be presenting what you are not dealing with. So, for example, in the lineages, in the ancient ones, many things are not only done in the dreams. Many things are done like in the waking state. For example, if you begin seeing that you have a lot of violent dreams, so you will go to do the recapitulation of all the anger that you have experienced in your life with a mask in front of a mirror, so that you don't see yourself with that. And then you will be exploring the fear. It can take you probably 3 days, not complete 3 days. It's like for 40 minutes or 7 days or whatever, until you really, really explore and finish with the anger that you have inside. And then you will see that immediately, like magic, the violent dreams will or completely disappear, or they will minimize. So many of the things are done in the waking state to change the way.
So sitting just in front of a mirror, but putting a mask on, so that and saying and telling your story. Is that what you just said? So you're telling your story, but with a mask on, because you are looking at a different person with the story. So you're trying to disidentify with yourself. I guess, is that the Is
That's the you said it perfect,
okay.
because for the tradition there is a strong identification between our image, how we think we are, and our story.
Yes.
Actually, there is
Wow.
this metaphor that the lines in our face are like the path that we have walked in the Mother Earth. So they represent our story. So if you put a mask and then you begin talking, then your tonal cannot handle anymore who was the one that experienced that anger or that fear, and you begin detaching. It's a
That's
quite interesting
beautiful.
process.
It is. It's a brilliant exercise that shows that you are not you, the physical. You need to disengage from that so that you can, slowly disengage from the fears. I like that.
Yeah, and actually, the lineage of dreaming starts with that. We call it Quetzalcin, that are these recapitulations that are done with masks in front of mirrors of the persons that hurt you more. And actually, that's beautiful, because normally you use the archetypes that you have of mean people for you. Then in your dreams, if you process, for example, I had to do it because my brother was very mean with me all my childhood. After I went to the mirror with masks and I talk only about him and that, like it took me like 3 days only, of half an hour each day, and getting the anger, the sadness, also seeing the things that weren't completely accurate, that
Yeah.
I was getting like more victimhood that there really was what happened. But then immediately I used to dream a lot with my brother. After I processed him in a mirror with a mask, I never dreamt him again.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So picture the person who you are projecting your anger or your frustration or whatever it is, a negative energy, and speak to them, but with a mask on in the mirror, and do this for a number of days. You did this for how many? 3 days?
Yeah, it is this kind of recapitulations. You are supposed to do them from between 30 and 40 minutes in front of the mirror, and it's until you don't have anything to say,
Yeah. Let it
that you
all
feel
out. Empty it out.
empty. Yeah.
That's brilliant, man. That's amazing. And then from that, you realize that your dreams became less about your brother.
Yeah, no, actually, I did my brother, I did my mother, and I did a girl that hurt me in my young ages.
Wow.
And after that, I never dreamt about them again. And what's the importance about that? Because if you keep dreaming with the people that are archetypes that of your fear, of your victimhood, and that, then you repeat the same patterns in your future with new people.
Yes.
If you stop dreaming of them, then you have like the freedom of not repeating that.
Was there a conscious change within you? I mean, you said that the dreams weren't there anymore, but consciously in the waking state, did you also notice that um, your
Yes.
level of consciousness, your quality of consciousness changes as well?
Yeah, for example, actually, if I'm going to be very concrete, uh, with the ones that now I have, I think the closer relationship in my family is with my brother and with my mother. And and actually a lot of people ask me that, for example, if my family now is following what I do, not all of them, but the one that comes sometimes to the workshops and do the things, and that is my brother. That would be the one that I would have never thought it.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Your relationship is closer than ever now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best psychotherapy exercise I've heard of in in years, Sergio. And it won't cost you a dime to go to any psychologist. That's for sure.
That I always tell the people when I am teaching this in dreaming. I said, okay, there will be 4 benefits.
Yeah.
The first one is to break the identification of the one that you think you are. Then the second is you will learn to see you in a different way, because now we're used that every time that we are in something that reflects, we appear like we are.
Yeah.
Then you will be able to shape shift in the dreams, and then you will have free therapy.
The fourth is the bonus.
Yeah.
Okay, so now our fears, we're handling our fears. We're becoming much more conscious of how we want to manifest our reality and shapeshift it, like you said. So now, when we are going into our dreams, is there a specific technique or tool that you recommend or that you use with your students that allows them to become much more effective in designing their reality?
Yes. The first thing, because if to start, it's not that easy to become lucid in your dreams. So to start, every day when we're falling asleep, we're crossing through a state that nowadays science is called hypnagogic. So we are crossing through a hypnosis that you can use. Many people waste that time, and instead of using it in a good way, you are in that time just when you are getting worried that how I'm going to pay this and what time I have to wake up. But if you begin, for example, in all the time before falling asleep, when you are lying down, like for example, it's about archetypes. We use archetypes like this. The serpent is the ancient archetypes in dreams for healing. The turtle or the crocodile could be the one for abundance. The hummingbird or dragonfly from love, for example. So if you want to begin in a very simple way, changing the way you dream before falling asleep, instead of thinking in your problems and nothing like that, is just to be repeating, take me to dream with the serpent, take me to heal my knee, take me to dream with the serpent, take me to heal the knee, and like that. Or then also if you have more problems, take me to dream with a crocodile, take me to do that deal, take me to dream with a hummingbird, and take me to heal that relationship.
Is the archetype important, Sergio? Can you just say, take me to heal my knee?
I know, I think the archetypes, because we respond to them so much.
I see. Okay.
That and actually from these practices, because it can sound a little bit crazy, but it's not. If you see, even the symbol of medicine has two serpents and
Yes.
comes from this type of practices of dreaming from Asclepius of Greece. So it's ancient science that has to be like with the collective unconscious. And if you see, we think that these things and this kind of programs are not anymore, but we are surrounded by them. If you see branding, they are using the ancient archetypes of all the animals in the cars, in the brands, and you see all the animals, rain, suns, stars, because that's what we respond more. Those were the first things that, like humans, we had to deal with.
I see. So our genetic and our evolution has seen it so much, in a sense, over the thousands of years, that it's sort of embedded in our DNA almost, that when we see that image, it brings about a certain meaning.
Yeah. And
So
like
the intent has to be there before you go into the dream state. So take me to this for this, is what you're saying.
That's the most basic one. Then there are other like techniques that are much more sophisticated, if we want to say. Like if you are able to get lucid in the dream, get lucid just means that you are aware that you are dreaming when you are dreaming. So if you get to that awareness, that there are certain practices to get there. For example, you don't have to be following what was happening in the dream, so you can begin changing it, and then transform yourself into the serpent, for example, and heal yourself, or fly and get what you want, or begin, for example, minimizing the measure of your problems. All these practices, or crossing walls, because that breaks like the concepts that you have of solid. And then you can begin, even for athletes now, many people are doing, like, if they are in sports, they begin dreaming their own sport, and then they improve the next days. So the potential is a lot. It's a lot. And there are other techniques, for example, of that you cannot do it in the first half of the night because you don't have a lot of cycles of dreaming in that first hours. But in the second, if you cut the night and then you stay awake like for 15 minutes and then begin slowing the heart to begin feeling like all the symptoms of dreaming that you will feel heavy, stiff while you are entering in dream paralysis. Your temperature will drop a little bit, and then the rhythm of your breathing will change like to the one that you have when you are sleeping, and you didn't lose consciousness. And then from there you can begin building dreams. Those are a little bit more advanced, but all of us started like in the hypnagogic with intents.
With intents. And do you necessarily remember the dream after you wake up if you didn't do a lucid dream?
No. Many people, no. That's different because lucidity you remember because you were there completely. Your mind was there, and then you remember. Okay, and I changed that, and I said no, this water no, and changed it to rain or whatever you did. The other ones, you have to begin like training yourself to remember them. That this is dream recall. That there are certain ways, for example, that it would be as soon as you wake up, before going to the toilet or whatever, to begin thinking, okay, what was I dreaming? And then instead of thinking what happened after, because if you think what happened after, the next thing that happened is that you woke up, because it will take you to the last part of your dreams. So if you begin going backwards and you begin thinking like, what happened before? What happened before? Where did it start? So you will have one dream. And then the next you can say, and what happened before? What happened before? Where did it start? And then you can begin training your mind. For us in the tradition, we have like an average of 8 dreams per night. Of course, sometimes in the beginning you only remember 1 or 2. That's normal. But then you begin training your mind to be aware actually of what you're dreaming of, how and what important is for you.
I see. So from what I understand is if you're starting this and you're not doing any lucid dreaming, the intent is important in the beginning before you go to sleep. But when you do wake up, it's almost like you're hitting the replay button and you want to go back and you want to ask those questions, what happened before, so that you can begin or to start to visualize what you saw in your dream. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you begin seeing, like, for example, if you were setting intents that take me to dream with a serpent, and then you see that you are dreaming with serpents, and that is the response of your unconscious or nawal that you are going to have the healing. So, and this is beautiful when you begin like planting archetypes, and then you will begin like remembering, and I saw the hummingbird, or I saw the flower, or whatever.
Right. That's pretty cool, man. I mean, it takes a while to establish and to exercise that ability to do that when you first wake up. So you're suggesting we take at least a few minutes, 5-10 minutes in the morning before we jump out of bed to do this exercise.
Yeah, 5 minutes in the beginning will be more than enough. And actually, it's not that long. But like people have, like we said, in the Western mind, we lost like the connection of the importance of that.
Yeah.
It's just like, because many people say, I never remember my dreams. But I actually, one of my best friends that also teaches lucid dream, but in the Buddhist tradition, he always says, but when did you try it? When was your last try? Because you don't. Many people don't remember, but never try.
Yes.
So start trying, and you will start remembering.
If you don't ask the question, it never comes, does it?
Yeah, it is.
So true. So then, once we've gotten better handle on that, then you can start to explore lucid dreaming. Is what you're saying? It's a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, lucid dreaming, because it's actually to get or learn how to slow the heart. That are things that in many lineages are taught to enter directly in lucidity without losing consciousness, or in the other way, to learn. For example, we have like a certain landscape in our dreams that repeats. So some people dream with their kindergarten. Very often, some people dream with their dead grandmother. So if you are beginning to do like the dream recall, then in a month or something like that, you will have like a certain landscape of what you normally dream. So if you see that you dream, for example, a lot of times with your dead grandmother, then like a hook to enter in lucidity would be that you can say, take me to dream with the serpent, take me to heal the knee, and every time that I see my dead grandmother, I will know that I am dreaming. Because and then that will be creating like the hook in your mind that if you see the dead grandmother, you know that you are dreaming, and then you will get, okay, the dead grandmother is there, and then I will say, okay, this is a dream, and that could be like a step for lucidity, and then you can begin or flying or doing something else or becoming the serpent or the crocodile.
I
So there are
see.
many ways of getting there.
So creating a little hook in your mind that brings you to that awareness that you are dreaming, and then slowly building on that so that you can start to awaken a little bit more every time
Yeah.
in the dream.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we all have this. If you begin doing the dream recall, you will see how repetitive the characters in our dreams are. We dream many things that are similar. So if you begin identifying your own ones, then it's like the key to enter.
And how do you know, like, if these archetypes, what they mean to you, if you've never, how do you make that connection between the meaning of the archetype if you keep seeing it?
No, for example, because if it's the dead grandmother, it's the dead
Right,
grandmother. That's
right.
for you.
But I'm saying like hummingbirds and turtles and rabbits, and if you start seeing animals or certain elements, is
Those
there's
ones are more like universal, but normally those aren't the keys for lucidity. Normally, the keys for lucidity are things that are very personal, like certain friends or certain persons of your family or the house that you lived when you were a child. Those are like the ones that repeat more.
yes, because they have meaning to you specifically.
Yeah, and in the beginning, then if you begin working with archetypes, then the other ones will come, but then you know what it is.
Yes, yes. And so doing this and practicing this for months and years, I mean, you've been doing this for quite a while now. What can you say? What is the true significance of all of this, of including this into your life?
Oh, for me, it's like I can say Sergio before dreams and Sergio after dreams, because actually, uh, what the dreaming techniques were taught in the ancient Mexico for the people in the power, for the rulers, for the tlamacasquis that were like the priests, and for the warriors. So because it was known that the one that gets the one that
As the
controls the dream,
ability, yes.
yeah, controls life and manifests things in life. So, for example, I have had like the satisfaction of getting a lot of my purposes. For example, I wanted to do books, and I got that is almost impossible nowadays in the publishing like industry. I got my contracts without even writing one page, and things like that. But because I had never been really like physically health issues, but many of my students, they have healed themselves of things that science thought that are impossible, have found their relationship or got pregnant when it was impossible because of medical issues. And so I have seen that because dreams are archetypes and our conscious mind is not completely there, then you don't have like limits and then you begin getting things that were beyond of your imagination.
So when
So
you plant it in the dream, Sergio, what you're saying is that self-limiting behavior doesn't kick in as if you were maybe doing it in your awakened state, because you can doubt yourself, you can, all sorts of fears and ego-based sort of beliefs may prop up. But when you put it in the dream state, then that intention has a much more stronger significance. So did you notice more synchronicities happening in your life once that?
Yeah, and now, for example, I am totally convinced of the phrases "the girl of my dreams," the the house of my dreams.
Yes.
Because I have met so many people that in my dreams before that then I know which is going to be the role in my life of those people before meeting them, and that's so it's like magic.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
like
when you set an intention, some people may sort of interpret this as, well, I want to win the lottery, so I'm going to set an intention in my dream to win the lottery, or I want this car, or I want that house, or I want this girl. It's not that simple either, in the sense of it has to serve you in some way. There's got to be in some way that this intent is going to make you grow as a person. Isn't that true?
yeah, and I always tell the people, don't start with the lottery and that, because so many people is wishing for that,
Right.
that you are competing with at 1 million different things and personalities for that. So you can ask for getting enough abundance. I also tell the people. Uh, Always don't ask for specific persons. Ask for the one with whom you are going to be happy if you want to find love.
Right.
And that, and of course dreaming is not only about, because we are talking only about like the positive things, but dreaming is about also in the recapitulations that we said about the masks and that, of detaching yourself of your ancestral patterns. So for example, for someone that has had in his ancestors abundance, will much be easier, it will be easier to create abundance through the dreams. So it means also that first you have to heal yourself through masks, and even in the dream destroying the dreams that are not creating your abundance and that. So it's a complete work of in yourself.
It's transformation, yes.
Yeah, it's a complete that. And actually I say all of us have to sleep and to dream. So you don't have to do, okay, you have to add certain things to that.
Yes. You're
But
doing it anyway.
you are doing it anyway, so why to waste it?
Yes, yes. Incorporate it into your life so it can be a catalyst, so it can push you forward and you can transform, like you said. You're teaching this, aren't you, Sergio? You're teaching this in London in workshops?
Yeah, I work in many countries, in Mexico, in the US, and now in London, in Germany. So yeah, I teach it.
And how can people access you? Where can we find you?
Through my website, and there's my events there. That is sergiomagana.com.
Okay. I'll have a link to that on our podcast show page as well at drjohnfilo.com. Sergio, this was fun. I really enjoyed having you on.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you and to talk about dreams with you.